Welcome to the 1% Doctor Podcast. What separates the good from the great, the standard from the extraordinary? It's mindset, it's execution, and it's the relentless pursuit of growth. I'm Adam Lamb. I'm your host. Welcome to the show. Welcome back to the 1% Doctor Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Lamb. Today, very special guest, awesome wealth of knowledge in the health and wellness space, Dr. Eric Fete. Dr. Eric, thank you for being here. We're so glad to have you on the show. You know, one of the first things we like to dive into is give us a little background about what got you into medicine. And we're going to dive into all the amazing things you do today. But I think that journey is something that's really interesting for other docs to hear, but especially a lot of patients, I think, want to know, what got you down the path of medicine.
Yeah, cool with that, Adam. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. You've been fun talking to the last number of months. We've known each other, so I appreciate you having me on and looking forward to chit-chat about stuff. So yeah, man, so happy to tell you my origin story, I guess. I'm a big superhero guy, so I think I've got like a Thor shirt on today. I always have something superhero related. But yeah, man, so yeah, it's been a long road. So I've always been involved in, health, nutrition, fitness. I've been an athlete in my whole life. I've, done all kinds of sports and wrestled and stuff and did some martial arts through my life. My parents were teachers, so I guess I learned to enjoy learning from them. And my dad especially was like a, physiology, biology. So I learned about science. I guess so kind of got me hooked in science and learning about the body. And I was like, kid, just be a vet, and then got into medicine instead. And kind of went down that road. And then this is, a long time ago. So it's like I got into emergency medicine. So that's kind of where I started because it was more of a pace, and I liked it because it was kind of like you really had to know everything. I liked having those skills and mindsets to be able to think quickly and have multiple backup options, plan A, B, C, D. And, it was a great job. I mean, you learn how to take care of everything, anything and everything that walks through the door, you got to be able to handle it, think fast and keep it cool, and I think that served me well with what I do now. So, but I did that for a while, but I think what tripped the switch was like, I started seeing a lot of people that were pretty sick and they shouldn't have been, right? When you start seeing people in their 30s and 20s and 30s and 40s and they're overweight, I'm on 10 different medications or they're disabled. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this could have been prevented, which is proper lifestyle, maybe some modification to how you live your life and choices you make. And I thought there's got to be a better way. So I kind of started thinking about the preventive side of it. So I guess that's kind of what got me into what back then they're calling age management medicine, anti-aging medicine, that kind of stuff. I partnered up with another ER doc, and we did like an actual brick and mortar clinic where we did a lot of aesthetics, a cosmetic procedure. I got in like stem cell therapies, and I started learning about hormone therapy. And then I got trained and certified in advanced bioidentical hormone optimization therapy. And then I started learning about peptides before they were all this is even before they're all the rage. My colleagues and I have been learning about these for years and started learning about medical peptides and longevity medicine. Then we start learning about the microbiome. And as you know, it's like when you start learning things, you learn more what you don't know. And there's so many more things out there. So it just opened a lot more doors. So fast forward now, and I pretty much now just have a telemedicine practice here in Ohio, and I have patients all across the country. And I've even done some consultation on people in, Saudi Arabia and England and Australia, and just have people calling me and hit me up on social media, just asking for advice and things like that. So it's a lot of fun. So I get to meet a lot of cool people and meet people like you who just like to spread the word and just educate people. So yeah, so it's a lot of fun. So now I just do, like I said, just telemedicine, and what I call now is health and performance optimization. It's a good catchphrase for everything because it's about optimizing your health, physical performance, mental performance, and everything. And what I call my trademark, what I call my muscle medicine approach, because I think there's not a lot of docs who really focus on muscle. And I really focus on that because that's the organ of longevity. It's an actual endocrine organ. So I really focus on building up your body, building up your metabolism to make a healthy body and live longer, stronger, better. So that's kind of my. Can you hear me okay? I might know breaking up on me a little bit. I can't hear you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So thank you for sharing all that. How long were you like in the ER before you were like, man, I gotta get into this longevity stuff?
Yeah, it seems like a long time, but it wasn't that long. I mean, I spent, how many years of higher education, college, 4 years of med school, 4 years of residency. And I think I did ER for maybe 7 years or 7, 8 years, something like that. And my last couple I was actually the director of our ER. And so I kind of took on an administrative role as well and just busy. But I think it was during those last couple of years, I started hearing about these opportunities and starting seeing this and started thinking about it more and more the proactive side, the preventive side, and thinking there's got to be a better way. So that's kind of what got me out of it.
Yeah, it's interesting, and the reason I ask is that there's, I've worked with, I mean, like literally hundreds of ER docs because how your schedule is done. A lot of times it's like you're like 3 intense days or whatever, 4 intense days, like you work and then have a lot decent amount of time off. That have got into in their downtime and they've learned more about hormone optimization. And maybe it's because they see all these different varieties of people, and you see the common stuff of just chronic illness and obesity and a lot of these things that has led just so many ER docs go down the path of like learning more about health optimization and longevity and health span and some of these other things. And then also having the time to be able to start going and growing and building a business doing that stuff, which is cool. And so today you help people, basically get control of their health and from the longevity standpoint, but and everybody probably has little different goals. I think I'd love to hear you share a little bit about what are the common goals are. And then but I really want to unpack the muscle piece because it's finally, thank God, coming to like front of conversation that like muscle isn't just for like meatheads, athletes, bodybuilders. Muscle is like literally what's going to support you your entire life, and that you need it to live a healthy life, right? As you age and to be more mobile and to not, slip and fall. If you have muscle and you slip and fall when you're 85, you're probably fine, right? Versus if you're this brittle person that has no muscle, you know,
Right.
bone degeneration and all these things, and low hormones and all these things. So, what do you think are some of the common factors that people come to you that you're able to help solve?
Yeah, so I think I always frame it exactly what you said. And my main focus is on the muscle and really what I call the cellular medicine, like treating the body at the cellular level. And everybody has a unique genetic profile, unique metabolism. That's why, one of the things I see out there is so many like cookie cutter clinics and people that are not health professionals promoting this and that and trying to treat everybody the same way. And it's just not. Everybody is unique and different and has your own metabolic footprint. So everybody has to be timed. So I go all the way down to the level of the cell, how the cell is actually working. And if we can get that working, we get the tissues and the organs and the whole body working. So that's my unique approach, is really focusing on the cell and the muscle,
And so it
and then
starts with
everything else.
is it like a diagnostic approach that you kind of begin with first? What are
Yeah, it's kind of like,
some of the steps? So I think people listening that might be like, man, I'd like to work with Dr. Eric. Because you're right, there's so many, unfortunately, there's so many of these companies out here because look, buddy needs, look, if you get blood work and we see deficiencies and we can make them efficient, you're going to operate a little bit better. Now, it's not what I like to call like precision medicine, right? Knowing like Adam and Eric might have the same goals and our blood work might have some stuff, but there's a way to go deeper to get me exactly what I need, you to get exactly what you need, right?
yeah,
Share a little bit about
exactly.
what some of those steps might look like for somebody that's interested. What are the discovery paths for you?
Yeah, that's a great question and a great point, Adam. So yeah, I think like tying your those two questions together, most people are coming to me for, I want to lose weight, or I want to sleep better, or I want to have better sex, I want to put on muscle, or whatever that may be. So I will take that and I try to frame that and ask them a whole bunch of questions about their specific biology, about their specific symptoms, their metabolism, their habits, their patterns, what they like to do, their mindsets, very powerful, their circadian pattern, and kind of weave that together and try to like give them what they want, but doing it in the way that I feel is best for them. Like a lot of people are like, I just want to get this peptide, or I want to get this cool whatever. I'm like, okay, we can talk about that, but let's see if it's even right for you. Maybe you
Yeah.
don't need that.
Why? Well, I was just like, why do you want it?
Yeah.
Well, doesn't
Why?
it do this? Yeah, but it might not do that for you, or it might not do it as efficiently, or we may have to put a couple things, turn some things on in
Yeah.
order for it to work too. So yeah, 100%.
So what a lot of it comes down to is really the time and the questions, right? And that's the art of medicine. That's what a lot of people don't see behind the scenes. They think, oh, it's all just cookie cutter and prescribe this and get this supplement. It's like, it really comes down to those questions that, that's the art. And it's like, okay, I want to lose weight. Why do you want to lose weight? Oh, well, I just want to feel better. Why do you want to feel better? Oh, and you dig down deep. It's finally like, oh, in July, I'm getting married and I'm going on this island. So I wanted to look good, Bob, the specifics. And then like, oh, well, why do you eat that way? Well, when you find out, oh, it's because there's a certain food and there's a certain time of day and my schedule and all these different little things. So you got to weave all these things together and line them up. Why I need to do more cardio, for example? Well, I hate doing this, this, this. Well, I'm not going to make you run if you hate running or whatever that may be. That's a
You
really
know, like
simple
it's
example.
not gonna tell you to fish 4 times a day. So right, there's
Yeah.
ways
So
to customize it. so people can sustain
Right.
it. But even to your point, and I love that you use that example of like, well, I got this wedding coming up. Well, the other part is like, hey, how would you like to learn about your body, your health, what works, what doesn't work, to be totally in control for the rest of your life if you follow the framework that I can teach you over the course of whatever, 6 to 12 months, that you can keep this honeymoon body forever.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
Right.
and people are like, no, you can't. Listen, man, I'm 45 years old. And people are like, oh, you work out and how long you been lifting? I'm like, since before you were born, most of the people that ask me, right? Because I started when I was like 15. And so I can eat different. I know what I can eat. I know what works for me, what doesn't work for me, what supplements, like all these kind of things, because I've worked with docs like you. So I know it, that I get to, is there like, do I have my good days and bad days? Sure. Right. That's all of us are. Can I have a cheat day? And ate Wendy's the other night at 11 o'clock after done speaking when I was in Pittsburgh, which is not ideal. But I know how to course correct that. So it's like you wouldn't know the next day. Right. So there's teaching people about their body, getting them in that first place. I think what you're talking about is getting them optimized, showing them how, connecting the why to the how. And then the opportunity to live your life like forever that way. Strong, confident, feeling great. And obviously you got to continue to do the checkups with the labs and diagnostics, because our body changes as, some chemistry changes
Right.
with time. But our DNA doesn't
Yeah.
change. And so, once you pay attention to that and epigenetics, you can dial a lot of stuff in. So
Yeah, and
tell
that's why
people
I'll
about
look at
that.
all those things. I'll do like a deep dive on their labs. A lot of people are just looking at, well, what's my thyroid level or what's my cholesterol or whatever. But I'll do way more than that and do a more of a deep dive on. I'll say, hey, look at these inflammatory markers or look at these hormones that you didn't think of, things that people don't talk about, like SHBG or insulin or this and that. And then I'll kind of tie it together and I'll say, okay, yes, you need X, but you also need these things corrected. And here's why, because these things influence this, these influence that. And then we'll look at like other stuff. We may do like an advanced gut analysis or a DNA test and look at your genetics and say, look, you're prone to these types of, tendencies. It doesn't dictate what you can change that. But if you have a genetic tendency for this, your metabolism of your hormones is this, your lab levels are this, and your symptoms are this. Now we got to put these pieces together and create a blueprint just for you, as opposed to just a cookie cutter, take this, work out this way, blah, blah, blah. So that's the systemized approach. And so
Yeah,
I
one
give them what they want, but in a way that's going to work for them. And I have to explain all that. But once they see that, they're like, I got it now. So yeah.
Yeah, so like one great example that, people that like keto or carbs are bad and all these kind of things, it's not true. For some people, genetically, it can be good to have really low carbohydrates. But like for me personally, genetically, I burn more fat with 250 to 300 grams of complex carbohydrates, like let's say rice, than if I'm in keto. And I know that through
Yeah.
genetic tests, right? And so
Yeah.
because if my buddy Jim from work does keto and that's how he lost all this weight and feels great, and then I do it, but I feel like crap, and I'm like, why? What's up, Jim's? Is it the way he's marinating his chicken? No, dude. There's just genetically that's not the best course for your body, right? And
Right.
so for
Yeah.
some of us too, like high levels of greens are actually not good for me, right? Digestively and things like that. So it's like when you really learn about your body and realize there's a lot of good ideas out there. Like you mentioned, like a lot of people will take some of those good ideas and turn them into cookie cutters, and they might work for some people and they might work for a short time, but from a longevity, right? This is the path of longevity. So I've had people, they're like, well, I'm not seeing the results. And I'm like, it's 2 weeks. We're talking about longevity, right? There's
Right.
a,
Long
there's
term.
a part of longevity that's long. But teaching people that stuff. So I think it's so important to not get stuck in the fad of everything else, working with someone like you that does precision medicine that can like actually teach them, here's exactly what you need, Susie Smith, right? Date of birth, 12/25, like, exactly what they need. And then and as you learn more about your body, I think too, I'm sure you teach us of like the intrinsic side of like feeling your body. Like I can feel if I'm not hydrated, right? And I'm sure like we start learning that, like, because if we don't feel good, we might I feel like I need a nap, or I feel like I'm tired. Well, maybe you just need water, right? Or maybe you just need salt, or maybe you haven't had enough protein, or maybe you haven't had enough carbohydrate or like quality because you had fruit and bananas or like something like that versus maybe a rice or potato or something like teaching people to understand that they can navigate their body through the rest of their life, right? That what
Right.
you teach is so valuable. So talk
Absolutely.
a little bit more about some of the things that you help people uncover and, more about Prime X and what you do.
Yeah. So biggest thing, again, like kind of what you're just talking about, really trying to customize that plan and really focusing on the metabolism. So many people nowadays are just, like you said, looking at fad diets or, for example, fasting too darn much. It's like, well, let's build up your metabolism so you don't have to fast. You can build it, make your engine run faster but cleaner, so you don't have to, and then you'll actually burn that off and get the body shape you want. And then
You see a lot
I
of
like,
people not eating enough.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, if you want to build muscle, most people are not eating. Like I would say half, like in what I see. But I mean, what do you think you see? 'Cause a lot of your focus is helping them build muscle, which is one of the healthiest things you can do. Do you think? I mean, what are some of the calorie deficit? Like, share some examples.
Yeah, like, I think twofold. I think some people will come in, they want to lose weight, but they're not eating enough or they're fasting too much and they're slowing down metabolism. Or the other thing I see a lot of is, I mean, people ask me all the time about the GLP-1 drugs, right? The tirzepatides, the semaglutides, et cetera. And I use them all the time. But the problem is, and why you see so much bad press, is people are getting them from every Joe Blow in the corner and they don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to use them. And now they're not eating enough. They're doing too much, too fast. And now they're getting all these side effects, but they're losing muscle mass and they're feeling like crap. And it's like, again, you want to eat enough. If you do it the right way and it's about timing too. When you eat these meals, when you eat these macronutrients, you can actually get your body in sync. So I'm taking your hormonal patterns, your circadian patterns, and syncing them with your food intake and your exercise. Because if someone, like you said, if you're eating like late at night all the time, or you're fasting all through the morning when you're really hungry in the morning or whatever, if we can sync those patterns up, now we can get the calories to go do that nutrient partitioning, build the muscle up and burn fat at the same time, that body recomp that everybody's looking after. But yeah, so I see a lot of people, especially the women, just not eating enough or eating enough protein or eating enough of those macronutrients.
Yeah. And I think through that process, like you mentioned too, there's just understanding like what it takes to build muscle, right? So even from a metabolism standpoint, like thyroid medication, if you're eating like a bird and you're exercising pretty hardcore, your thyroid's going to go get super slow. And then most doctors will look at it and say, "Oh, you need thyroid medication." And first thing we need to ask, like, tell me about when you eat. I eat a bagel at 11:30, but I wake up at 7 and then I eat, something crappy for dinner that's small. Like, something like and they're but I go to the gym every day. Like, so there's certain people just have certain things. I've worked with, I mean, there's a really popular female UFC fighter whose thyroid was totally jacked. They wanted to look at it because they were like, maybe she needs to do thyroid meds, but they need to go down the path to get, approval. This is a long time ago on some of that stuff. And through a conversation I had with her about what she was eating like a 13-year-old kid. And but no one asked her because she's like, knocking people out left and right, like a top. And I'm like, who's working with her food? Everybody's
Right.
like, oh,
Right.
I think you had a bunch. And so I was like, let's correct that and check your blood work in 30 days. And sure enough, her thyroid got right back in line, but she just wasn't feeding her metabolism was so jacked up. She's training like 4 or 5 hours a day, like a psycho, but eating like a lazy kid. And so there's so many of these things that, like you said, if your doctor isn't asking you about how you sleep, when you eat, everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, you're pretty good." Well, it's not necessarily about that. It's like, when do you eat? What time do you wake up? What do the meal sizes look like? Right. And learning all these kind of things. Expand a little bit more on some of these questions that you ask.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because like two parts. One is what you mentioned. I'm big on like what I call, my double S, the Superman superhero thing, right? Two S is sleep and stress. I see that a lot. So people just either not sleeping right. I'm always looking at that because sometimes that's the missing piece. And stress is a big. I mean, everybody's stressed nowadays, and kind of in conjunction with that is like overtraining. I see a lot of people that are overtraining. I mean, I've worked with a couple really high level, very very well known trainers who like were overtraining, and they preach this, but they themselves got caught in the trap. And as soon as I pulled them back, they're like, a week or two later, like, holy crap, I feel so much better, thank you. I was deep in the weeds, I didn't realize. And some people, so if they're doing it, your average person on the street is doing it guaranteed. And like I said, they're like your girl, just doing too much or not eating enough or both, and now they're digging themselves into a hole. So I have to kind of pull them out of that and realize that by slowing down, backing off, you can actually lose weight, feel better because you're de-stressing your system. So
Yeah, because your
modulating
body's
that
in
stress
fight or flight.
response.
Yeah, your body's
Yeah,
in fight or flight.
absolutely.
When it's in fight or flight, it's just trying to hold, right? And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I
Yeah.
love that
Oh
you
yeah. You
mentioned that
retain
because I had some
water
friends
and
of mine, because because when I travel, I don't work out. Sometimes if I'm on like a long cruise, maybe I will just almost out of boredom. But and I'll do walk or something like that. But I don't like it. I travel a lot. So like I was in Pittsburgh yesterday. I flew back. But overnight. But I'm not just gonna go like get a workout in because sometimes like I might sleep weird on the bed, plane, like all these variables that could like throw my body off. And it's a forced rest. And so like I was talking, even to a friend of mine, and I was like, yeah, last month I was out of town for about 5 days. And I was like, yeah, I don't train when I travel. I might do a little exercise or like, if we were hanging out and you're like, hey, let's go to the gym and kind of, talk and throw some weights around. But it isn't like a serious training. And because I don't want to injure my body, but I'm also giving myself these breaks. Right. And so I was asking someone like,
Yeah.
when's the last time you took a week out of the gym? And they're like, but like that can be really good for your body to take vacation. Let those joints and tendons and everything kind of relax for a little bit. And then you go back in and all of a sudden you make a bunch of gains. Right. And so it could be interesting, and just people, at the end of the day, pro science is only going to get you so far, where you need a guy like you that's got the actual science to take you as
Right.
far as you want to go, right?
For
What are
sure.
some of the big things
Yeah.
you recommend?
The other big one is,
Oh, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say the other thing I'm really big on is, I like to blend the old and the new, maybe just because of my age. I'm really respectful for these ancient traditions and cultures and practices that have been around for a long time. But, taking the new stuff and blending with the old, like big one is like circadian pathways. Like I've been learning a lot about quantum biology and, learning how we're energetic beings and kind of getting back to nature, right? And I'm always preaching about getting outside, getting out at first sun, getting your feet in the grass, grounding, looking at the sunlight, how the sun transforms chemicals in your brain to get your neurologic pathways going, get your melatonin, your cortisol in sync, get all your hormonal pathways in sync, and really just trying to get outside as much as possible. I think part of the problem I'm seeing younger and younger people with more and more hormonal issues that I used to not see. People with like low thyroid, testosterone, weight gain, all these issues in their very young age, but we used to not see that. And I think a lot of it is just people always ask me, well, why do you think that is? And I think it's just the very toxic world that we live in. Our genes haven't caught up with our fast pace of society. So think about it. Everybody's inside. Everybody's on this thing, right? They're in these electrical lights, blue light 24/7. They're breathing stale air. They're eating crap food. Their nutrients are depleted out of the soil. We're stressed to the max. Nobody goes outside and forest bathes, right? In the Shorin Ryu of Japanese culture, like go out and get the sun that reflects off the greenery. Sunlight actually transforms electrons and boosts your mitochondrial function, does all these cool things. It's not just woo woo. There's more science showing all this now, how our water is structured in our body, how our mitochondria release light energy, create ATP, create melatonin, all these different things. So really I'm really big on that that whole circadian pathway, just really kind of getting back to nature. Yes, we're going to use the cool apps and maybe use the peptides, the hormones and all this stuff, but we really have to get back to basics, right? Constant movement, getting outside, breathing, proper breath work, meditation. Nobody's breathing properly, huffing and puffing. Nobody's doing abdominal breathing, so using your breath work and getting your CO2 levels good, getting the sunlight in your skin to boost your production of melanin and all the, which can improve your leptin and all your hormones. I just did a video on that this morning. So there's a lot of basic stuff that's free and cheap and easy that you can do. It's just taking the time, like everybody knows, yeah, I should meditate or I should pray or read, but who's doing it, right? Just take 5 minutes and do it in the morning. And then,
Yeah, it's implementing it. A lot of the guys I coach, even docs, I coach a lot of doctors is like, I want to help you implement like one new thing and then we stack it. So the next thing you know, you have 16 new things, right?
right.
That it's like that in your become part of who you are, what you do, because it's like you and I, we know these things are going to help you feel better, give you more energy or sleep better, whatever your goal is, it's going to help you have more of. And so as you do it, you're training your body that that's a good thing. You're training your body that's, it's not, it's like, oh yeah, I got to remember to, you just integrate it into your day. Right. And so teaching them those new habit integration into their day, whether it's in the morning, like I have a massive morning routine. I also have a pretty large before I go to bed routine. Right. And so, but those are two crazy important times to set the pace for your day and to set the pace for your sleep, which is also super important. Just like you said, teaching people some of those things, because it can be really overwhelming to like try to do everything.
You can.
Right. Like some people are like, oh, I got to do this. Can't wear EMF or do all these like certain glasses. Like, it's like, hold on. You can't, you'll be crazier than you were trying to solve all that. But
Absolutely.
there's some good stuff to just start integrating that most people don't know. But like you said, it's like, go out, like go and grab your morning paper. Cool. Take your shoes off, go out there barefoot, walk through the grass and walk back. Like just
Yeah,
something simple
keep it
like that.
simple.
That can
Keep it simple.
change the energy right in your body. And we try to overcomplicate it. So I love that you talk about that. And here's the thing is every single physician should be talking about these things,
Yeah. Yeah,
but they don't
absolutely.
because they're not taught, right? And a lot of them think a lot of it's woo woo, but not we're learning, man. I mean, the last few years, the amount of information that's showing more opportunity in that functional health and just our natural healing and all these kind of things is coming big time mainstream. I'm excited. And
Yeah.
I think the problem's going to be is guys like you are not going to be available because you're going to have so many clients versus as all these people kind of start waking up to how important it is to actually work with a doctor like you that leads them through these paths of longevity and health span. Talk a little bit about what it's like. So if someone were interested to work with you, talk a little bit about what that looks like.
Yeah, no, it's great, and I love how you bring that up like one step at a time. That's a great point. I try to remind people of that too. So I'm glad to hear that. So yeah, absolutely. For me, I'm a simple guy. I try to keep things as simple as possible. So basically, most people will find me. I'll just hook them up, and we just do what we're doing now. We'll do like a telemedicine conference, but beforehand, I just send them a link to sign up for a consultation. And I like to do my lab work beforehand. I have my own custom made lab panel. It's pretty comprehensive, and it's part of the consultation package. So I can order that, send them a lab slip. They'll go get their labs done. Usually get it done within a week, and then we'll jump on a call. And then my call is, it's pretty, we're usually like an hour long because we're going to go through a lot and maybe longer, maybe shorter, but we'll go through all that stuff that we've just been talking about. We'll start with, again, people want to focus on this, but I like to hit everything lifestyle. I always start with lifestyle, right? Everything we're talking about, patterns, mindset, circadian rhythms, stress, sleep, diet, exercise, and then we'll get into, lab analysis. Then we'll get into all the fun stuff they really want to talk about, like hormones and peptides and, tech and stuff like that. But it's always building that foundation of the simple. I always like to try to start with the free stuff, the easy stuff, those habits like you were talking about, and kind of building on that. And then we'll kind of go from there. And then, so it's a pretty simple process. And then I can order whatever I need to from afar, right? Whether it's advanced testing, whether it's genetic testing, gut tests, medications, hormones, peptides, etc., and we can get them shipped to them. And then we'll just kind of roll, and then we just touch base, once a month or more or less, depending on their needs and their goals, and I keep tweaking and modifying as we go. Everybody's different. That's where again, that art comes in. Some people are like, hey, this is working great, or this is not working. Let's change this, and we'll kind of bob and weave. But usually we get them figured out pretty quickly, and then they're cruising, and then we kind of roll from there. So
Yeah, that's awesome. And I love that, too often too, there's so much stuff, right? So it's like, oh, do I need to go get this test or do I need to go get this? And it's like, there's, some, some initial testing you can do that saves you a bunch of money on doing a bunch of crazy stuff. You don't need to go down because you can already rule some stuff out. And so I'm glad to hear you do that because, a lot of times they're selling every diagnostic under the sun that you might not
right,
even need.
right,
And sometimes they're trying to get these diagnostics done, and then I'm like, "Well, what'd they tell you to do based on that?" "Oh, nothing." I'm like,
nothing.
"Oh, so we looked at
What
all
was the
that
point?
to not give you any direction?
Right.
Like, what's going on?" So I love the way your process works because I think that is actually the best way to do it. Folks who are listening or interested in working with you, Dr. Eric, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
Yeah, so biggest things is my website, drericprimetics.com. You can sign up for a consult right off my website, or you could just find me on social. I mean, I got a ton of free stuff on, all my pages, YouTube and Instagram, Facebook, etc. And a lot of
You
people
have
just
great
yeah,
great
a lot of
knowledge.
people,
I'll
yeah, they
make
just,
sure
yeah, well,
all your stuff will be in the show notes. So, everybody listen to this, check out the show notes. We'll have everything for Dr. Eric, all his social media and website and everything like that will be in there. And yeah, that's why I had you on here. I think you're a great guy. Like you are doing it right. Like when it
thank you.
comes to the evaluation of patients and like the opportunity for them to like just totally expand what's possible in their health. And so thank you for coming on and sharing your story and so much valuable information. I think is super important. Any last minute stuff you want to share before we hop off on Zoom?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for the kind words and the compliments and sharing. And I love what you're doing with your people. And you drop a lot of knowledge bombs, great tips, and you guide people in the right way. I know people that have worked with you, and I've heard good things. So keep up your good work, and I appreciate you having me on. I guess my last message is one of the things I like to say a lot on my videos is my mantra is kind of like live to give, right? And so my goal is to I want people to live their best life and feel their best. So I feel like if people are feeling good about themselves, they're going to treat other people good and pass it forward. So I'm trying to give stuff away all the time. So I'm hoping to pass it forward. Everybody can feel good and make the next person feel good too. Let's make this world a better place by helping each other out and moving people along.
I love that. And you're right. Like when we're at our best, we give our best.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I have to focus on what keeps me at my best, because I want to to not want to be your best is selfish.
Exactly.
So I have to want to be my best because I want to be the best husband. I want to be the best father. I want to be the best leader in business and all these other things. And so, being at this position of constantly being deficient through some things you just don't know how to correct is selfish, and really why people should make the move to really explore their health, because at the end of the day, like your family somebody needs you, right?
Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
by not living, you're not giving your best potential. And so it's super important to do that. So I love that you shared that. Thank you. And thanks for
Absolutely.
being on the podcast.
Yeah.
We'll
Thanks
see
for having me.
everybody that's interested in working with Dr. Eric. He's awesome. His information is going to be in the show notes at Dr. Eric Prime X. And thank you all for tuning in and listening to this week's episode of the 1% Doctor Podcast. I'm Adam Lamb, your host. Thank you. Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the 1% Doctor. Please be sure to subscribe to the show where you're able to consume more podcasts, get more value, and learn more about doctors potentially just like you. Please tell a friend, review the show, and we'll see you in the next episode.